Hi, welcome to TruPulse by Scanta. Very quickly, we'll dive into the dashboard. On the top line, you'll see what we call an overview bar. The overview bar is the data behind the data. It's the information that's feeding into the rest of the indicators that we're looking at through the entirety of the dashboard. Now, all of this data can be filtered based on characteristics that the users or consumers have decided to enter about their user population so that they can do comparisons, they can do dissections, they can understand the differences on how each of these particular populations are represented. As we move down the line, we see a key stakeholder in the dashboard, which is our morale meter. The morale meter represents the average of the current measured population of the latest measurement that we've been able to determine. Next to that is that trend of measurement over time. And really the great value of the morale meter is looking at this trend. Because though morale may have an immediate indication of where it's at today, it becomes more and more valuable as you look at it as it's performed over the course of history. Understanding a baseline and how the organization is deviating or maintaining that baseline over the course of the measurement time period. As you start to see spikes or dips, maybe that's a time to look into possible interventions. Now, since this is a representation of an average, we want to make sure we understand the distribution. So we can look at, are there high indications at the top end, high indications at the bottom end, or is it a nicely shaped bell curve representing a fairly standard distribution? And then we can get into comparisons, understanding how different populations or different groups within the organization are represented from a morale perspective, seeing how events or occasions may differentially affect the people within the organization and how they feel about their engagement with their work and their company. Next, we'll get into topic analysis. And this is really important because we need to understand not only how employees are engaged and feeling about their work and company, but the topics that matter to them as they go about their day-to-day life. And so there's two ways that we can look at topics. We can search for the things that matter to the organization, or we can look for the topics that matter to the employees, listening to their voice in order to really gain some insight into how they're feeling about the things that are happening in their day, whether they're internal or external. And we can see how much engagement there is with a particular topic and what the sentiment is around that topic, whether it's positive or negative. And to add some context around that, we've included a word cloud. Now, the word cloud is designed to provide additional information about the most frequently used words associated with a topic. So you can understand if you're looking at an indication around what's happening within the organization, or maybe it's external news events. But being able to understand not only what people are talking about, the words that are associated, but then ultimately, how do they feel about those topics? So we've also indicated an emotional representation. Should there be a desire to look at culture and then the organization, then we also have the ability to add optional dashboards for tracking cultural events to measure the efficacy of training efforts and supporting culture.